specific. Sometimes
Here we go.
it's easy to
highly requested right here, man. We got JJ Redick in the building, baby. Let's clap it up. I don't know how you guys are feeling as Laker fans, but it is what it is. This is kind of what we've been seeing for the past month and a half. We already kind of guessed it, and it's right in front of our face. Now you already know what's happening next. Bronny James will be a Laker. That's just, it is what it is at this point. I kind of already accepted it. I don't know how I feel about it. I want to know how you guys feel about it. This is going to be the press conference right here with the new Lakers head coach. Let's just hear what he has to say.
You get caught
JJ
up
Redick, let's clap it up.
Being in a sea of sameness and doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. But when we embarked on this search, it was really important for us to see if we could do something a little bit different. And quickly in our conversations with JJ, it was very evident that he had a unique perspective and philosophy.
Rob, I really hope you understand what you just did.
On basketball and how it's to be taught. I think immediately when we sat down in Chicago at the Combine, we shared a basketball philosophy that was very similar, and it was based on high-level strategy.
Of course. I mean, look, a coach who's never had experience, he could say whatever he wants. Yes, JJ studies the game. I get that. A lot of people study the game. JJ, look, it's like going to an interview. I can go talk out of my ass at an interview, but what have I shown? Where's my resume? What have I shown? So what has JJ Redick shown to be a front runner-up coach for the Los Angeles Lakers? That's all I want to know.
It was based on a certain way of communicating with players and teaching them, and probably most importantly, prioritizing player development. For people in the room that study this new...
Prioritize player development? When has the Lakers ever been a player development? LeBron's there, right? So LeBron's a player development type of guy? It seems like LeBron is if you don't understand the system, get out of here type of guy. I'm going to just keep it honest with you. It doesn't seem like they're developing anything because they've traded away a lot of talent. A lot. We have no first round draft. We don't really have anything. Player development. Who on the Lakers organization right now is going to be developed? That's all I want to know. So if we're talking about player development, this should be a sign that they're going to draft Bronny in player development. You know what I'm trying to say? There's little hints already there. This is already in the making. I could already see it happening now. I can see the movie. I can see the documentary. I can see it all.
Cap system that we're now under in the NBA. There's a hard system with first and second apron, and I could get into all the details, but at the core of that is going to be the importance of a great franchise like the Lakers modernizing and leaning into developing our young players and building
what young players?
Players here like Max Christie and Jalen Hood-Schifino and Austin Reeves and Rui and on and on. It became evident that one of JJ's passions was bringing some of the incredible things he's done in basketball thinking and in basketball content to player development as we build out that. And I think that's going to be something that's really exciting for our fans to see.
Basketball content? What does that have to do with coaches?
How we take a new and unique approach of Lakers excellence with player development and combining that with high-level strategy and high-level attention to detail on the basketball court with how we play, with how we're organized, how we compete.
LeBron determines all of that, so I don't even know why we're getting into this spiel. How we play and how we... LeBron determines all of that. And for those saying LeBron had nothing to do with this decision, you're smoking rocks. Cut it. You're lying to yourself. You don't think LeBron had anything to do with this decision, so JJ just popped out of the fucking woods as the Lakers front runner-up. Are you dumb? Stop it right there, bro. Seriously.
Ultimately how we win. So a very, very proud moment for us today to introduce JJ Redick as our new head coach.
JJ!
Thank you. Thank you. Rob, I appreciate it. This process has been surreal, to say the least. One of the things that kept coming up during the process with Rob, we kept talking about the word gratitude. And I think that's where I'll start, is just feeling so grateful for Rob, Jeannie, the entire Lakers organization for entrusting me in this position. And I take this responsibility very seriously. I have never coached in the NBA before. I don't know if you guys have heard that.
We all know that, buddy.
My motivations
We
for
all know,
doing this,
JJ.
It starts with a very simple foundation of service. I think about the greatest moments, especially towards the end of my career, was about helping players. And so it starts with the desire to serve players, to serve the Lakers organization, to serve our fans. It's also about competition and performance, collaboration, leadership. These are the things that drive me. And they will all be important as I build out my staff, as we think about the people we want to draft and get in free agency, and as we think about player.
So if JJ, I'm telling you now, bro, if you don't think Bronny's going to get drafted by the Lakers, I don't know what to say. This is crazy. And you know what? A lot of people aren't happy about this. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how I feel. I got mixed emotions on it. I'm not here to talk bad about anybody, but I do have mixed emotions on it. I'm just being honest.
Development. It's all about those things. When I think about the NBA today, you know, the game is evolving, and it's evolving fast. And one of the things in coaching that I think you have to be is adaptable. You have to be adaptable to your roster. You have to be adaptable in game planning against your opponent. And that's one of the things I really will strive to be. Lastly, I just want to say, like, sitting in this seat, I know what the expectations are.
Do you really, JJ? Do you really? Do you understand how much? Do you really? I don't know, man. You might as well just literally just say LeBron still coaches the team, bro. There's going to be a lot of back and forth with him and LeBron, man. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how long he's going to last in that coaching spot if the Lakers don't win.
Lakers fans have some of the most passionate fans around the world, and the expectation is a championship. And so it's my job, it's our staff's job, it's Rob's job, it's all of us to deliver a championship caliber team. That's what I signed up for.
Okay, JJ, we here for it. We here. Ain't no going back now.
Hey, JJ, Mike Trudell with the Lakers and Spectrum Sportsnet. Amongst
Rob looking like he off a bottle of whiskey. Are you good, Rob? I don't know, man. JJ, you might look like bro in the mid-season. He looked like he off a whole bottle of whiskey, bro.
As you were alluding to, just your personality, the competitiveness. Rob spoke about this, that drive. As a player, did you start to think about head coaching in that context, like the closest that you can get to fueling that, finding that competitive fire, and did that drive you at all towards this Lakers position?
With ServiceNow, AI can transform your business by helping your people work better. Because when your people work better, everything works better. So, let's get to work.
Idris Elba works here?
Yeah, he's super nice.
There were certainly coaches that I had throughout my career that would say, you're going to coach someday. Doc was probably the first one that did that. But it was really when I was in Dallas at the end of my career, and I was hurt for most of those 2.5 months. I didn't play a lot. Rick Carlisle and I spent a lot of time together, and he really planted the seed about coaching. Now, at the time, I knew I was going to retire. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be able to be home for a little bit. I didn't think it was the right time. You know, when I retired, when I retired, my performance coach and I, we talked about all the things that I loved about being a player, and it was a lot of those qualities that I just listed. And it
sounds good, JJ. What are you going to do with this roster and this team? That's what I want to know. I don't want to hear the back end. I want to hear what you're going to do with this team, how we're going to win, and how we're going to make the playoffs, and how we're going to win basketball games. I want to know right now.
All part of coaching. And, as I think about the culture we want to create here, part of that is just a competitive culture. Like, we want to come in every day thinking about competition.
Them half-ass practices with fucking D'Lo wearing a beanie and Anthony Davis wearing beanies and shit, wearing their jersey behind their back. What you mean? Come on, bro.
Jim,
you ain't gonna be the one to get them to do. Stop it.
KKL 9 News. Congratulations. You mentioned what you learned from Doc Rivers. What's the most important thing you learned from Doc that's going to help you to make an adjustment into the NBA with no previous head coaching experience?
The most important thing I learned from Doc, it's interesting because I probably took something from every coach that I ever played for. Doc was such a good motivator. And one of the things that I think he is particularly good at is creating a vision, communicating a vision, and then getting you to buy into that vision day after day. Now, those Clippers teams, we didn't reach our ultimate vision, unfortunately, but that's something that he was always so great at. He's an incredible communicator.
Well said,
Welcome,
JJ.
Rob.
Well said, JJ.
Good to see you. If I could ask one of you both. Rob, obviously in today's media landscape, the twists and turns of a coaching search kind of become public fodder. Can you speak on, you guys are obviously very ecstatic to have JJ in this role, but there was a pursuit of Dan Hurley before, and just where did things stand? Did you put the JJ process on hold in that moment, and just how did that play out?
Yeah, happy to talk more about the entire process at another time. Today's sort of...
Yeah, exactly. That was a front right there. Yeah, man, call the bluff. Good question right there. Call the bluff. Call the bluff.
Of a coaching search kind of become public fodder. Can you speak on...
Watch
you
JJ's
guys are
reaction.
Very ecstatic to have JJ in
This was all this is all set up a long time ago.
but there was a pursuit of Dan Hurley before, and just
look at JJ immediately. This is immediately. Look, this is all set up. I'm telling you.
things stand. Did you put the JJ process on hold in that moment, and just how did that play out?
Yeah, happy to talk more about the entire process at another time. Today's sort of JJ's day, and I will say this, from the start, he was in our plan A.
Exactly. From the start.
A pool of coaches that we were really interested in exploring. And I think the most important...
How could he be in the top of the A list with all the previous coaches who've won championships, have years of coaching experience, have multiple things on their resume? How could he be at the top? LeBron James, hello. Hello.
Throughout the process, JJ...
You just slapped JJ Redick's name with the fucking top coaches on the fucking A list. Get the fuck out of here.
And I had direct and sort of constant communication to keep each other in the loop with what he was going through with his previous job with the NBA Finals. And I was keeping him abreast of the search. And I think sometimes before a partnership is forged, when you can have real, honest conversations before you actually become partners, it solidifies the relationship. And I think looking back to how transparent we were with one another, even in the midst of stuff going on in the media, I think it actually solidified our confidence and belief in working together.
And JJ, to retire after a long, successful career, a lot of athletes, it's a tough transition. You were able to quickly parlay that into a successful podcast venture, obviously broadcasting the NBA Finals. With that going in your direction, like that could have been what you did the next 20 years. Why did you decide that coaching was what you wanted to do with your basketball life?
It's a good question.
Jeanette Eccles, junior assistant.
I would have did the podcast situation, my brother.
I'll answer the question in a second. I want to follow up on something Rob just was talking about, and that's...
Y'all are hilarious, so y'all have a very good way of getting around shit, huh, JJ?
Life.
I'll answer the question in a second. I want to follow up on something Rob just was talking about, and that's, when the process was going on and we first met in Chicago, I was getting ready to call Game 1 of the NBA Finals when the Dan Hurley news broke, and Rob was quick to call me. We had a great conversation during that whole 4-day period. Like, at no point was my ego or feelings hurt or bruised in any way. Dan Hurley is a 2-time national champion at UConn.
Exactly.
I am a 2-time 55 Swiss League champion in the 3rd and 4th grade division. Like, I understood, I understood. It's funny because, Dave, I get that question all the time, and I've certainly gotten that question a lot from people that I trust and confide in over the last year. It was really after I interviewed for the Toronto job last year that I knew that I wanted to be a head coach in the NBA. And so the last year, I spent a lot of time talking to coaches, talking with GMs, picking their brains. I am very fortunate that
I just don't know if this is the right spot for him because I don't want it to tank his career. We've seen it happen before with other coaches, bro. I just think maybe you should have went to a different team, bro. You should have went for the Pistons job or something, bro. Because you could turn that young team around. Go draft Bronny. Go get the hype. Go be that new team. That's what you should have did, bro. I don't know about this. You should have went for the Pistons, bro. I'm just being honest. You had a chance to take over a young squad, draft Bronny, do all that good stuff, and whatever the case is.
that I have a small circle of people that are currently working in the NBA that I am friends with, that I can confide in, that can help me. And the further I got into those conversations, the further I got into my own sort of journaling about coaching, thinking about it, envisioning it. Rob and I talked about this a ton. I just felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I mean, again, I brought it up, like I have zero coaching experience in the NBA, but I would argue that I'm very experienced. And it started 22 years ago when I went to Duke, and I got to play for Coach K for 4 years, spent 15 years as a player. Honestly, the last 3 years have been invaluable in preparing me for this moment. Being able to connect to players, talking to them on the podcast, being in coaching interviews with ESPN, calling games, analyzing the game in 3 different formats. All of that has helped prepare me to be an NBA head coach.
That I get, but it's different when you have to be in that moment and coach, JJ. I understand that. You are very experienced when it comes to knowledge. I get it, and I'm happy for you. I just don't know if this was the right decision. I have like a frustrated side and I have a calm side for him. Because it's like, fuck, bro. I just don't want you to take the blame for everything, man. It's not that I don't think he could be a good coach. It's just I think coaching LeBron and the Lakers is a problem.
Rob, JJ, over here, Dan Wakey with the LA Times. Yes. Questions for both of you guys. JJ first. How do you kind of envision I think Jovan wrote something about Anthony Davis and kind of using him. How do you envision kind of Anthony Davis and LeBron James here as part of this team, provided LeBron resigns? And then, Rob, for you, how are you going to sort of thread the needle of the late stage of potentially LeBron's career with the transition into whatever's next?
I think the first thing is with any player, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, any player on the roster, I can have a vision for how I want to use them, but there has to be buy-in and collaboration, right? So I can sit up here and tell you how I would like for them to play, but if there's no buy-in, then it doesn't really matter. So I think part of the next 2 months, and I know those guys are going to be busy with Team USA, part of the next 2 months is just having conversations. And Anthony and I already had a conversation a week ago about some ideas, both offensively and defensively. And I think both of us felt really comfortable going forward
Good.
with that sort of as the
That's the main thing, man. If they're gonna listen to JJ, hopefully, you know, like I said, we can't bash him. He's already here now. So if it's gonna change the way they, what'd you call it, respond to coaching, then I'm here for it.
base starting point of how he's going to play on this team. And you know, one of the things I brought up with him is just the idea of him as a hub. There's a bunch of guys at the 5 position in the NBA that sort of operate in that way, and I don't know that he's been used in that way and sort of maximized all of his abilities. So that's a simple thing with him. With LeBron, look, you have to certainly get buy-in and talk to him about how he wants to play. You know, him and I have joked about this, but like, he shot over 40% from 3 this year. Like, I want him shooting threes. He's going to have his 3 or 4 bursts every game where he gets out in transition and does things that no one at his age should ever be able to do, but he does it. It's really just figuring out in the half court, putting him in different spots, both as a scorer and a facilitator. That'll be part of the conversation over the next couple months.
Yeah, I think first we
Hopefully he's like I said, this is gonna have to do with getting the right team there. Because if you have that team, I don't care. I don't think they're gonna. You got to switch the team up, man. Let's just be honest. Coaching's one thing, but what are we gonna pick up in the off season is the question.
want to respect and honor LeBron's ability on June 29th to make a decision about his contract. He has a player.
Yeah, JJ's already talking about like how he's gonna use LeBron. Like, you guys gotta understand, LeBron ain't going nowhere, bro.
Option, as we all know. So definitely we'll give him that time to go through that decision. But I will say, if he does return to the Lakers, the proof of concept in having 2 all-pro players as the core pieces of your team has worked for us to the highest level, of course, in
It's worked
2020. But if
in that bubble, 2020.
those 2 players are at the core of what you're building, we like our chances. And of course, we'll continue to have conversations as we approach free agency here in the next week or so of how we want to tweak or make roster changes to put ourselves in a competitive position built around those 2 players.
Hey, Rob, JJ over here. Yovan Buha with The Athletic. First, for JJ, how have you gone about preparing for this position, especially kind of through the interview process, and then how have you gone about developing your coaching philosophies?
Fun fact. The person with McDonald's is always the most popular.
Again, it goes back to sort of how I answered Dave's question. You know, some of my coaching philosophies lie in the different roles I've had post-retirement. I think a big thing for me is you have to look at your roster, and then you have to figure out how you can create margins with that roster. And this roster, you know, let's say last season, they did a good job of not fouling and getting to the line. They did a good job of creating a margin with fast break points and points in the paint. You know, when I think about that with this team, it was like, how do we generate good threes? How do we generate more of that? Defensively, how do we scheme better? How do we turn the ball over less? Like, all these little margins, right? The team was 29th in offensive rebounding percentage. If you look at the trends of the NBA right now, teams that really value possessions are sending guys from the corner. They're not worried about getting 3 guys back. I mean, when I played, you were either a go guy or a get back guy. I think giving players the freedom, especially from the corners, to crash is huge. You can create a margin there. That all came from just analyzing the game over the last 3 years. You know, philosophically, culturally, again, those are all based on experiences. You know, when I think about culture, the foundation of it has to be competition. There has to be joy in it, though. Like, the pursuit of greatness can't be miserable. Every day that somebody walks in this building, they have to enjoy it. I think part of being a coach, right, is like, can I maximize each player?
Little pineapple.
That helps maximize the group. And does everybody in the building, not just the players and staff, does everybody in the building enjoy coming to work every day? That's sort of on me to create that culture.
And then one for Rob. As of Wednesday, you guys will have access to your 3 first-round picks. Have you thought, or I guess what can you share about how you potentially might use those? Are you thinking maybe something bigger move, a couple smaller moves? How are you thinking about building the roster over the next week or so?
Yeah, how you feeling, guys?
Yeah, I think
Keep it honest, Rob.
JJ hit it on the head when he said our goal is to build a team that compete for championships. You know, whether that's in the short term or the long term, we always have to balance those two things. And I do think in this system, as I opened, some of the trades are more difficult, especially if you have a second apron team and a first apron team. There's a chance we'll be in the first apron. The trades are less prevalent than they used to be. So will we look for trades that help us become a better team? Absolutely. Are those trades, do they have the same probability that they did under the old system? No, it is a different system. So we've got to be mindful and thoughtful around that.
Well,
and
yeah,
I do
because our money's tied up.
think, as I stated at the beginning, part of the road to a really, really good team, and you can look around the landscape of the league right now with many young teams doing really, really well, is going to be lean hard into that player development piece. And of course, part of that is drafting the right way. We've had a great track record here of drafting good players and developing them, and we're going to continue on that path as well. So that's not a yes or a no. If the perfect trade comes along and we can use picks to make it and win a championship, yeah, we'll do it. Is that trade going to be there? I don't know. It's harder in this system to find perfect trades.
JJ and Rob, Kobe Price, Southern California News Group. Got one for both you guys, but first, JJ, kind of a two-parter. Do you plan on coaching in both summer leagues? And how is the process of putting together a coaching staff come so far? Are there any names you can, I guess, tell us that you're targeting or bringing on?
No names for you.
Yeah.
We've certainly discussed the names, but no names for you yet.
Bronny James. We all know.
Summer League is certainly on the table. We have talked about this. There's a few factors, and we'll just sort of make the decision at the time. But I'll be heavily involved in Las Vegas. Our understanding, at least right now, is we'll still be doing a lot of free agency work here during that first part in Sacramento.
Yeah, just on the names question, Kobe, we've already started a very collaborative dialogue around how to build out JJ's bench, and clearly leaning into that experience with the front of the bench coaches and finding hopefully a couple guys that are former head coaches, I think is going to set JJ up for support. And at the end of the day, that's what we're most interested in doing, is make sure we help him select and build a staff that sets him and the team up.
Yeah, you better get a staff, boys. Shit. You better get a staff that's better. You already know you don't have a veteran in JJ. You better get a staff.
For success. And that's beginning today on the first day of his job.
And then, Rob, one for you specifically. Obviously, JJ and LeBron, they have had a podcast going since March. Even if it wasn't direct conversations with LeBron, how, if it did that podcast factor into the process of the interview and all of it?
I think at the core of a really good NBA head coach, one of the core necessities, especially with today's player, is communication. And I think JJ's one of the best basketball communicators out there, period, hard stop. Anyone that's paid attention to what he's done and built and his interaction with players and coaches and executives, he's special at that. In terms of the involvement with our captains with this coaching search and the coaching process, I think.
So, like I said, I'm not here to bash or anything, but this just goes down to the whole. Rob didn't know any of that until LeBron brought it to the table and watching podcasts and stuff like that. That's just honest. You can't deny that.
You're asking a question about LeBron. He was very supportive of our organization in this process, and that's a different word, and I want to be mindful of the word, than involved. So I would say it again. LeBron was very supportive of us and our process, but chose not to be heavily involved, and we respected that. Anthony Davis, our other captain, chose to be very involved and was very involved. I talked to him throughout the process.
And he's not involved with LeBron. AD's not involved with LeBron. Are y'all? Come on, man. Stop this shit, bro.
And got a lot of help and wisdom from him. And he was very excited for today.
How can you pull back on expenses and grow your business at the same time? With NetSuite,
Melissa Rowland, Fox Sports. This is a two-parter to Rob. I'm going to begin with you. JJ just broke the news that he's never had any NBA head coaching experience.
It wasn't news.
Considering that, what was it during the interview process that he did or said that made you feel excited to go this route?
Yeah, I think NBA head coaching experience and NBA experience aren't mutually exclusive things. I think JJ has an amazing amount of NBA experience that's going to make him a great NBA coach. And he talked about it already, whether it's coming up being sort of mentored and tutored by a Hall of Fame coach and Mike Krzyzewski, whether it's the Hall of Fame coaches he played for throughout his career, whether it's the conversations with numerous all-stars that are high IQ players that he could share basketball and strategy with. It was just really important to us as we made this hire to find a head coach that could sit across the table from some of the smartest and best players in the world. This is the stage for those players to be able to relate to, coach, hold them accountable, lead them, inspire them. And we felt like JJ was very unique in holding all those qualities to do that, and we're very confident in that.
And JJ,
I hope so. I'm going to cut it after JJ's part, but I really hope so.
He had a very close relationship with LeBron. He could have done a podcast with anybody in the world. He chose to do it with you. What was his advice to you throughout this whole coaching search process?
He didn't provide any advice. LeBron and I did not talk about the Lakers' job.
Bro, if you don't knock it the fuck off, seriously, stop.
Until Thursday afternoon, about 30 minutes after I was offered the job.
I'm done, bro. I'm not about to listen to this, bro. You're lying. You're lying. So look, now it's to the point where we're not gonna lie. I'm cutting it here. You guys could go finish the rest, whatever. It's your boy ceokana. I was all the way up into that part because that's bullshit, bro. I'm sorry. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Hope you guys enjoy it, and we gone.